All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to episode 14 of season two. I've got me and Chris today. So we just finished watching Michigan a little while ago. Denny snags his 63rd win, tying in with Kyle Busch, the late Kyle Busch, for all times wins list. Awesome looking tribute flag. I honestly thought that's what they'd have a week ago, was something like that. So I'm glad to see the way they designed that flag. But we'll start with Michigan, and if we have time, we can go backwards to the weekend before Nashville, where we just never got around to it due to we've all got a lot going on. So, with that, the O'Reilly Series was off this weekend. It was Trucks and Cup in Michigan. We'll start with the one that just finished first. So, Michigan's always been one of my favorite tracks because it's high speed, wide sweeping corners, just like at we had at California, which if you anybody saw the updated tweets with the aerial overhead pictures the other day, like it's clear we're never getting another track there ever again. Like they have built warehouses all the way up to the edges and everything. Like there's nowhere to even put parking lots, let alone get a racetrack in there now. So, but
Well, they've made
go ahead.
comments that if that was going to happen, anybody that they sold properties to were supposed to be in agreement that when a race did come into town, that their properties would be um, open and allowed for parking. But I don't fucking see that happening.
Yeah.
There's no room to even build a racetrack there anymore.
I think maybe that was their best intentions at the time, 3 years ago now, but clearly
Yeah,
that's not going to happen.
yeah. I
So,
don't. I don't think the parking is the least of our worries. There's no room to even fucking actually adjust that to make a fucking racetrack there now. It's
yeah,
just not
looking
going to
at
fucking
like they've
happen.
taken what was the excess space around it and boxed it in so much with all the stuff around it. Like there, to me, there's no way. So, so anyway, all right. So we had some racing this weekend. I guess we'll start with the beginning. Qualifying. A couple guys had some flat tires. Denny was one of them. Tore up the underbody of the car. Had to start in the back, even though he won the pole with it. So clearly they're running them as usual, as low as they could possibly go. Uh, on the air pressures, and so that put Denny behind the eight ball there. Last week he was able to come from the back after jumping the start, and then this week he was able to do the same thing. So impressive, but also the Toyota machine of dominance keeps on rolling. So we can start with the beginning of the race. What do you think about the first stage, first off, and everything there?
I mean, overall, the racing throughout the entire race until the last, what, 40 laps?
Mhm.
Well, I mean, even the last 40 laps, minus what we'll get into here in a little bit, even the last 40 laps, I mean, it was a great race. I mean, they battled the absolute shit out of each other. Everybody did.
Yep.
I mean, it was great. This is exactly Michigan has now turned into was always a decent race in the past that I remember,
Mhm.
but these have been the knockdown, drag out races that we all fucking remember from Fontana. This is exactly why we shouldn't have got rid of Fontana. We would
Yep.
have had instead of us now having six fucking restrictor plate races on the schedule. We could have had what 2 to 4 of these a year.
Mhm. Yep.
Well, I mean, what? Uh, so But I mean, ultimately, I thought stage one was great. Um, I'm a little confused as to what you touched base on. I mean, I get it to an extent, watch the sport long enough. I do understand, but I think NASCAR may need to step in a little bit here because if they thought overall there was something probably got scraped off the bottom of the car, which was allowed him the speed to be able to grab the pole, but ultimately the team didn't feel the car was safe enough to make it through a fucking race. Maybe he shouldn't have been able to go out and wasn't shouldn't have been allowed to go out and qualify that car on the fucking pole with a car that wasn't race ready.
Yeah, there was, and he wasn't the only one. There was a couple, um, mostly Toyotas when you look at it. Himself,
Yep,
Bell,
yep,
and Jones, and
yep.
then a couple of the Fords. And I guess some of this is to be expected because it's we're in the auto manufacturer's back hometown for everybody but Toyota. So you've got Ford, Chevy, and Dodge. This is their home turf. So everybody wants to win this race, and Ford's made it a point of winning this race for a while. But Denny won it. Toyota won it last year. and with Denny, and then he manages to do it again, coming from the back. But I mean, I agree. But the majority of cars that had to go to the back due to unapproved adjustments, as they said, was Toyotas. So,
Well,
and it was for
and
underbody
where
stuff due to a cut tire, which again, it's cut because you're down that far. You're running so far below the recommended PSI to squeeze that speed out. But as
yep,
a result, you're also damaging the components of the car,
underbody.
which
And where I have the issue is had they not allowed them to ultimately come out in qualifying, which then would have taken away pit selection, would Denny have been able to come back through the field with the overall advantage that he had with that fucking first pit stall?
honestly, I think they should have just let them keep. They should have made them keep the underbody damage. Like you decided to run it that low and damage the car, you didn't
That's
hit
what
the
I'm saying.
wall. They should have said if you choose to do that, you tear up the optimal ride of your car by dragging it and bouncing it off and burning off the carbon fiber and the other parts that are down there. Okay, as long as it doesn't impact the rub blocks, which are the safety component, that's a you problem. So
Yeah, that's
I
that
wouldn't
that
have let
was
them change it. I'd have been like, you have to show me why you need to change it from a safety aspect because there's no other reason.
that's the point of what I was getting at.
Yeah.
I don't if I think it gave them an advantage and they knew that going into qualifying, but
Yeah.
overall, for the overall setup of the car, the overall balance of what they wanted for the car to hold throughout the entire race, they knew whatever was affected underneath that fucking race car was not going to work for them, especially having to go to the back of the field. If they would have got caught in traffic, that car would have been absolute junk and he wouldn't have won that race.
Yeah.
Without making those adjustments. And I think they knew that. And I think that they not let him take the advantage into qualifying and then go in and ultimately what did they fix? What did they make better on that car when they when they redid the floor pan?
Yeah.
That we'll never know. That nobody will ever see.
Hmm. Well, so in stage one, you know, I just, man, Connor Zilic cannot catch a break. This
No,
guy is
that poor
having
kid.
the absolute worst rookie season of anybody that I have can remember in recent memory. He has scored a grand total of 147 points in 15 races. He's only had one, two, three, four races where he scored more than 20 points out of those 15.
Ouch.
And he's scored only 1 point in four of them.
And
And
that,
he's
and he's only
averaging nine
scored
points a
one
race.
point. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
only scored what 1 point in the last three races.
Yeah. Three consecutive races he's finished last.
Yeah, dead last.
Um, yeah, more of his races than not are single digit points days. Like, and when you compare that to even Ross, who's struggling, and where his other teammate SVG is running, like it's so shocking only because here's this guy who won 10 races last year, and what should have been the champion. But I wonder if we're seeing the prime case of this is you moved him up too fast. Yeah,
Well,
he's the next coming, but this car is harder than it looks, and having only one season in a stock car, period, full time, and this is the result. Like, I think this makes the argument that makes the argument for itself that you do need more than one, no matter what the level is, before you get moved up, because it's clear is that team really that bad? Hard to believe that that team is that bad, or is it that there's just the total lack of inexperience? Because these cars are very much different than the ones he was so dominant in last year.
oh yeah,
And he's with a team that's not the equivalent of the team he was. Junior Motorsports is the Hendrick Motorsports, or Joe Gibbs type equivalent of the Xfinity then series, now O'Reilly series. He's with Trackhouse, who is not the same caliber team. They're good, but they're not great. They're a B plus team, not an A plus team. And he was with an
yeah,
A plus team.
yep.
So it's definitely an interesting, uh, you know, summation so far, we're not completely halfway through the season, but I he's fighting hard to get that last place spot. Like it's just I feel bad for him. I really do because he can't be having any fun.
No, there's no way. You
And
can
after and
you
after last year, what he had for fun last year, it's a very rude awakening of this is a totally different level.
when you it was written all over his face in
Yeah.
the you coming out of the infield care center too. I
Yeah.
mean, he's at a loss for words. It really highlights the fact of what we've talked about numerous times, rushing these kids into these cars. I do have to give props to what 2311 has done with Heim,
Yep.
where Heim made the comment. I thought that was funny that it was brought up during the truck race that Heim made the comment. Yeah, I knew. I've known for 2 years. He knew for 2 years that this was the plan. This was the projection. This is where he was going. This is when they were going to make the announcement for the car. He knew 2 years ago, and they've put him in a position to where he can get I mean, he's not running a full season, so he's not necessarily getting all the experience he needs, but he's getting time in all three series to see the difference between the cars, especially the experience that he's getting in the cup cars. But he's not only going out, he's finishing these races. He's got caught up in a couple things. He got fucking screwed late last week and got
Yep.
caught up late last week, but he was fast. I mean, he honestly would have what it could have potentially been what a top five car
Yep.
in that race. I mean, he was fast.
Yeah,
That
he
also leads us back to another point we're going to make here in a little bit on the fucking Toyota dominance, which helps a little bit. But I think I don't think that having that fast race car is ultimately what's making that difference for Heim. He's put the time in. He's had he's been afforded the opportunity to have the time to put in that Zilich didn't have.
Yep.
Granted, he went out and yeah, he was running great race cars. The kid's fucking talented. There's no way
Yeah.
around that. But he doesn't have the fucking seat time. I don't care how much seat time he has in a Grand Am car, in road courses, in go-karts, in anything else that he's ever fucking run. He doesn't have the seat time in these cars to go out and run where these guys at the level these guys run. He's capable of running, getting there, but he's not there right now.
The way it's going right now, so Mitch, who's friends with me and Blake, had said, a couple weeks ago, that's a name we're going to see a lot, and he was referring to Heim. I'm like, yeah, he's going to be a golden case study for what not to do with a next generational talent athlete if you don't get him out of those track house cars and you don't get him with the right program and the right thing because he's got all the talent he needs. We saw it last year, so we know what he's capable of. But if you bury somebody of that caliber in a program that doesn't perform, you're going to kill that spark very quickly. If he has 2 seasons like this where he's finishing single digits, what he could have been will go away very quickly unless you get him to somewhere else because it's going to be very hard to get that enjoyment back into it because he's just not going to be having fun. And when you're not having fun, you're not as likely to put in the work ethic and all the things that go with it. Like you just get burnt out and you're like, I just would rather do something else. So, I just
True.
I see it some very not saying that's what will happen, but I just feel like there's a high potential of a lost opportunity with him and somebody of his talent if they don't remedy this by the end of the season and either get the ship point in the right direction or get him with a team that is more capable of allowing him to show what he can do.
Well, I mean that's true. I would hate to see him kind of pushed out the door at Trackhouse
Mhm.
because I don't think part of what you were saying is absolutely true because look at what SVG's been able to do.
Well,
There
that
is
was going to be
performance.
my counter
There
argument to
is,
my own statement. Yep.
yeah, there is performance in those cars.
Yep.
It's just not. It's just not on a regular basis.
Yeah.
SVG's been the best of the best of the bunch over there as of late. Today, it didn't fucking translate for any of them, and I feel bad. I ultimately feel bad for SVG today because the way they've run the last few weeks, this had to be kind of a fucking stab in the heart with the performance. The cars just did not perform, any of them. In fact, even for the most part, I don't know which one was running worse, Chastain or SVG, after Zilich wrecked. But it was looking like they were going to potentially grind out, which I think is awesome. I really hate to see that he got caught up in one of those late wrecks. The big wreck that we'll also be getting into, he got caught up in that because that potentially took another top 17 finish away from him. I think he was running 22nd when that wreck happened.
Yep.
They were grinding it out, which I'm sorry, that is what is going to turn a corner for SVG for me, is not
Yeah,
only the
definitely.
performance that they've been putting in, but being able to grind out days where you still get a half-ass decent finish out of a shit day makes for championship teams.
Yep.
And that
And
and
so
that
his performance, to your point, which is a great counterpoint to what I was saying about, Zilich. SVG is able to extract more from those cars regardless of what's going on, mostly because of his experience. He's a way more seasoned racer, and the fact that he's been able to take what he learned and then translate it to ovals beyond what we obviously know is, he's the best road course racer this series has ever seen, hands down. Um, but if what he's been able to do with those cars says that the performance is possible with those trackhouse cars because he's sitting 14th in standings, and that's
yeah,
after a bad day like today.
and
And
that's losing 2 spots. Yeah.
yeah, so he lost some positions that he may need later. So it was unfortunate what happened, but and there's some guys that had really good days and some guys who could not afford to have bad days, gave up a lot of ground today. But yeah, I just wanted, before I left stage one, I wanted to touch on, the miserable season that Zilich is having.
Village.
Spins early, lap two, or yeah, lap three, then spins again, and he's out. So,
Not even the disappointment at the in
yep,
the interview from the care center, but the comments when it played his in-car audio.
yep,
He's defeated. He is
yep,
absolutely defeated right now.
yep, yep.
And
So,
I don't blame him. Who the fuck
yeah.
could blame him?
So we end stage one. That was our only set of cautions, was the ones for poor Mr. Zilich in the Red Bull car. We get into stage two, longer. We get an actual green flag pit stop, range set of stages there. What'd you think about stage two, where the racing, we spread out more this time around?
I mean, you can say they spread out, but they really didn't. I mean, they still stayed on top of each other.
Yeah.
Which, like I said, I mean, this is ultimately a buildup to something that we have coming at the end of this conversation. Is I love how hard they all battle each other. It's awesome. They were starting to get into a little bit of talk of just how aggressive Hocevar was being. That's also going to be
Yep.
another point that we're going to make here in just a little bit. But I don't. I hope the kid does not. I hope we don't see the same thing out of him that we saw out of Hocevar, where everybody bitched, everybody complained. Mr. Hendrick went and fucking cried, and we see a whole different Ross now. I hope that doesn't happen.
Yeah, I agree.
I really hope that
Um,
doesn't happen.
and so we'll talk about that. So we talked about it beforehand. You know, part of it is Hocevar's aggressiveness, which is what makes him fun to watch. It's also what has gotten him where he's at. It's gotten him his long contract with Spire. It's, what got him a win this season. And has it put him in position to win this season multiple times, as well as what's put him in position to be, where is he at right now in points? He is, say, he moved up 2 spots. So he's seventh in points.
Yeah,
And everybody pretty much believes you're going to have to be in the top 6 to 8 to win this thing. So they're in a position to give themselves an opportunity if they continue to run this way.
yeah,
Um, Now, conversely, I blame Hocevar for some of his aggression. Like, I think he's still driving harder than he needs to be now that he's gotten that checkered flag. He wants another one, obviously, but you also need to he needs to tame it down. Like, okay, you've proved you belong here now. You're in the top 7 in points. You've won. You contended for wins. You don't have to completely drive like an ass. In the same vein, we talked about it earlier, I blame NASCAR for not being more diligent on keeping the cars bunched up coming to the start. We saw wrecks today, a lot of which were due to, a lot of issues on the restarts due to restart manipulation games. People just wanting to play games, and Chase Elliott kept going late, backing it up. Like you said, Junior said on the broadcast, he thought maybe in that incident, Larson was not going as hard as they thought he might because he was going to let Chase in. There was never anything said about that. Maybe that was it. Maybe it wasn't. But ultimately, it resulted in an accordion of things happening. And Hocevar was able to get that run at the same time Larson didn't go, and he didn't check up. You know, and
Well, he had
you
no
don't
time to
have
check up.
to. He didn't have time to. But even if he did, Hocevar's not going to. We've already
Yeah.
seen that.
Yep.
And just based off his past driving performance. And so and the reason why I say this is because he's still driving like he's trying to prove that he belongs here. It's very clear you belong here. Everybody knows you belong here at this point. You don't get to where you're at, 7th in points amongst all the past the names we're going to be talking about. Christopher Bell, Bubba
Yeah.
Wallace, William Byron, Chase Briscoe, Brad Keselowski, the champions. Past marquee, milestone win, drivers like you very clearly belong here. So it's time for you to stop driving like an idiot, essentially. And that move that he made was idiotic, partly by his own doing, partly possible by NASCAR not doing their job and negotiate or officiating the restarts better, making sure. And we see it all the time, as you pointed out, people backing up and NASCAR
Yep.
not making sure the field is truly bunched up before we let the come to the one to go.
Yeah. The laying back on the restarts it's been out of hand for a while.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that's a big one that. But on the same hand, to kind of make a point to what you just said, there is the kid has the talent, but I also think some of what he is still doing can also be attributed to, just like we said, got moved up way too fucking early.
Hmm.
So don't necessarily want to beat the shit out of him and take a chance on running him out of the fucking sport because he's somebody we need in the sport, man. Just the attitude, the mentality, the way he carries himself, and the fans that love him. That yeah, I mean, we were starting to get that kind of a following for Chastain, and it got shut down in a hurry, and that sucked.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. So after that wreck, then we get like the mother of all wrecks there, into stage three. So Bell comes down on the restart. They're going through the corner, sucks the air off of Chase. Chase gets loose, was trying to spin the car out rather than go hard right. And he said the front tires, like the car caught. And as soon as it caught, it yanked him right into Bell. So, I mean, like I said, I blame Bell in that, on the restart, the cars aren't fully loaded up yet. So you see, that's a move that we see typically all the time. So, and I don't think like I said, it's not malicious. It's just not the best time to be doing it on the restart, but you're trying to gain that. And it had worked by other drivers throughout the day, but, and they're still learning. Sadly, 4 years into this car, we're still learning the side force, what the do's and don'ts with the side force on this car, and how sucking the air off the back makes the back light like that. And it doesn't just bring you back, it completely unloads the rear end of the car to where Chase slid up, corrected, the car caught, and that hit was insane because they had to red flag it for the wall damage to be repaired. And Bell got out under his own power, which is good. But he didn't come out of the care center and take interviews. And what we've seen on Twitter, it sounds like he's got ankle and wrist injuries of some kind, whether that's fractures,
Yeah,
sprains, whatever. We don't know yet, but it
they
may
they
put him out
talked
of the
about
car.
it, talked about it a little bit in post race, but yeah, that's kind of what I was wondering is if he's going to be back for next week or not. I mean, this something like this, depending on how long he's out of the car, unless that team can ultimately come back and take advantage of where I know we're getting to this fucking Toyota dominance, and they can pull off a couple wins. this might be the nail in the coffin for Bell not making the fucking the chase this year.
Yeah, because we're 15 races into it. There's 11 to go. If he This is not the time to have any time to sit out. And looking at the points here, Bell dropped 3 spots. He's in 10th. He's got
Yeah,
410 points. He has just over 70. He's got an 80-point lead over 16th. But if he doesn't, if he's out for a race, so that's half of his lead, or more, 2/3 of his lead gone over
at least,
16th.
yeah,
So he could maybe miss one. If he misses two, it puts him outside. And not that he can't race his way in, but he may not race his way back in up into the top, 8 by that point. You spot him back 160 points. Gaining back 160 points at this point, between two races, is a big ask for anybody.
yeah.
So
Other than Denny, apparently.
other than Denny, who's superhuman, that
Yep.
we are truly, you know. So yeah, so after that we get, all these cautions, by the way, are how Denny Hamlin was able to get in back into it. Like he was coming, but he didn't quite have the dominant car he had like last week, where he just ran back through the field. He had to methodically do it, but you know, if we go back 20 years ago, back to the 2000 to the COT days, where I want to say, that Denny Hamlin would have pushed the issue, overdriven it, taken himself
And it
out
would have
possibly,
wrecked on his way back up through the
or
field.
wrecked, or done something to hurt the car. The Denny Hamlin we have today is definitely by far the best Denny Hamlin we've ever witnessed within our career span. Within his career, watching his race fans.
I
Um,
mean, he got lucky because there was a couple of those wrecks that he spun through
oh
one
yeah,
of them.
yeah. He lucked out and not getting collected in some of them that he very well could have. Um, and came out the other side and won today. So it wasn't without, obviously it wasn't without trial and tribulation today for him to do it, but he clearly had, once again, the best car. And I don't even think part of it's a Toyota deal, but I think where with Denny and him having the best car, or even like last weekend where he didn't have the best car and Bell had the best car, you're really starting to see, because these cars are so tight in terms of tolerances between all three manufacturers, and even inside of teams between teammate 1 through 4 at Joe Gibbs, whatever, how much the driver makes a difference. Denny's victories are because of Denny at this point,
Oh
because
yeah.
it's there's no question that his success he's had over the last, or the resurgence he's had in his career in terms of excellence and the number of wins he's racked off with both Gabe Hart and Gale now, are very much, yeah, they're great crew chiefs and they're putting together, calling good races. But the guy behind the wheel still got to go execute it. And Denny has stopped looking at the end state prize and just focused on the, each event for the event and working on one at a time. And I think that served him well. So, um, yeah, when he took that lead, I was like, it's over. When he got
Well,
that restart,
yeah, and now that you bring that up, man,
just
that's where
because
I'm
of
gonna.
his ability to fight him off, not because the other guys didn't necessarily have a shot, but his skill to defend. Yeah, go
Oh
ahead.
yeah. Well, but once he took that lead there at the end, how when we this is where we have a big problem, and it's been brought up by Dale Jr. It's been brought up by us numerous times on our podcast. Although how big of an audience we have, I don't know, but
Sam.
but the Toyota dominance is it's I mean optically is horrible for the sport in my opinion.
Uh-huh.
Even when we had Toyotas out front earlier, nobody could get out to more than a 2 second lead, and then they'd run a few laps, and then the field starts closing in again. But all of a sudden, at the very end of the race, Denny Hamlin takes the lead, and we end up going restarting with 40 laps to go, and fucking drive away to an 11.11 second lead.
Yeah, 22
I
laps to
mean,
go. He had a 2.8 second lead over Suarez. At the time he took the 5 to go, he had a 10-second lead. So
yeah, they said on the
17
poll,
laps.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
said post race. They said post race. They said the numbers were crazy, but post race when he crossed that start finish line was 11.11 seconds ahead of second place. That's how long. That's how long far behind the second place driver was when he crossed the start finish line. Was 11.11 seconds behind Hamlin. 11.11,
yeah.
and nobody else could drive out to a 2 second lead and hold it for more than 5 to 10 laps. I don't even think it was that. They
But you have
barely
to,
get.
you kind of have to lean into the conspiracy theory, folks. Ploys a little bit today because Ned Jarrett, the original driver of the 11, Denny Hamlin wins 11-11. Like that's
Well,
you,
that
you know
part I do
that.
got to give to Hamlin is him getting out and saying, you know what, I at least got to acknowledge the original badass in the 11
Yep,
being Ned Jarrett. That was pretty freaking cool. But
yep.
it just the this shit just doesn't add up. I mean, if it's not a Toyota dominance where they ultimately have the speed that he's able to go out. I mean, if any of those cars were able to run out and pull that kind of lead, then again, NASCAR needs to be taking a look not only at the fucking restarts on these people laying back, but there needs to be a serious fucking upgrade or revamp on what they consider a fucking 100% rule to be. Because
Yep.
we're seeing it time and time again where the fucking leaders are only running at fucking 40 to 50% throttle at the fucking plate tracks. And then now you're telling me that out of what was it, a 200 lap race,
Mhm.
there's only 180 of those laps that anybody can drive away and pull away more than fucking 8 seconds. It just doesn't add up. I'm sorry, it doesn't add up for me.
No, I mean I'm in agreement with you. I think the bigger concern at this point is okay. So we're 15 races into the new body of the Chevy. We've had this Mustang dark horse now for a while. Like whatever Toyota's got, whatever they're doing, whether it's how they designed this car or something they found with the mechanical setup of the car, they have a clear advantage. And it's not like one or two like hundreds, it's tenths. And
Oh yeah.
tenths turn into full seconds very quickly. At every and it's at every track. Their dominance is everywhere.
And that was
So
another point. That's another point I wanted to make on that as well, because I knew that was something that you'd end up bringing up. We have both watched this sport long enough, and I know if Blake was in here, he'd get it too. We've been in this sport long enough that we've seen when shit like this started to happen in the past. It went all the way back to the days when fucking Pontiac was still in the sport. If somebody started running away, NASCAR did something. You'd get 5, 6, maybe 10 races at a stretch, and if there was one manufacturer was running away, they would give everybody else a little bit of something to try and bring that fucking field back. Not to the extent and not the parity that we have in the field now, but there is something that's way fucking wrong, and NASCAR doesn't seem to be doing anything to try and adjust it. It's just a fucking runaway,
oh yeah,
and
absolutely.
it's aesthetically fucking horrible.
Yeah, I mean, not counting the what I'll call like the theatrical events, your Clash and your duels. Toyota
Yeah,
wins
I don't count any of that
Toyota
shit.
wins the first three. Blaney wins the fourth race. Toyota wins the next two. Chevy wins a race. Toyota wins the next two. Chevy wins the next three. Granted, those next three though are anomalies because you've got the plate track, which could be anybody, and you've got Shane Van Gisbergen at the road course, which is almost a
Road course, yeah.
guarantee. So really, the only one. So really, okay, Chevy won the next one. Then guess what? Toyota again. Then Chevy. Then Toyota. A Toyota. So like Dale Jr. Like to your point, even before this broadcast on Dale Jr. download this week, earlier this week, he had said like when asked like who are you picking, and he said it on the race broadcast today, like picking a Toyota. Just pick one. Doesn't matter which one you pick. They're all going to run.
Yeah.
And they
Yeah.
did. They all did run good until John Hunter got taken out by Hocevar. He was running good. Eric Jones scored a ton of points today. Finished
Second place.
first.
I'm
Yep.
sorry. Second
Yep.
place. Eric
Way to
Jones is
go.
another one. I forgot to mark him down on my fucking sheet here
Yep.
because I usually don't take notes, but there was a couple notes I wrote down. But Eric Jones, he's another one. They don't have the fucking speed that they've seemed to have been able to have found with the trackhouse cars for SVG. But that kid, I'm sorry, he is somebody that ultimately I wish one of these teams, and I understand that he's been with good teams before, but I wish somebody would bring this kid back in and give him an opportunity in a fucking top tier ride. I believe Joe Gibbs fucked him over just like they
Oh, absolutely.
just about the same way they did Logano.
Yep.
Logano lucked out and ended up at Penske, but Jones hasn't been afforded that luxury of being able to fall back into another great team to see what he can actually do. That kid is a driver, period.
Oh yeah. And he
And
won
I,
a truck championship and he won an Xfinity championship. And if he's in the right car with the right team, he most certainly will. He's the only other one that will could possibly become your guy that could check
Riley.
all three boxes. So,
Oh, absolutely.
because I don't think Bell won both. Let me check.
No, Ryder, get out of here. Go. Um, no, Bell did not.
Bell won a truck championship. I don't. Did he win the Xfinity? I don't think he did.
I don't believe so.
Let's
I
look.
think I think I think he got beat out by Byron, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
if I remember that right, I think you're correct. So there's only, I think he might be the only other one who could get there. Let's see here.
Other than fucking Austin Dillon.
Yep. Hmm.
I mean,
Got
he's
19.
not the only one that could do it. Brad could go back if Brad retired and went back
True.
and run trucks. He could do it.
Yeah, Bell
Um,
finished third and fourth, respectively, in his full-time seasons that he had in 18 and 19. And then he did win the championship in 17. Let's look at Jones.
in O'Reilly or in truck
He won the championship in truck. He finished third and fourth in his two full seasons in
in
O'Reilly
Xfinity.
Xfinity
Yeah,
nationwide.
whatever the fuck you want to call it.
So let's see here.
Yeah,
Oh
because
no,
I think
you know what? Jones also won the truck championship, and he did that in
yeah,
2014.
I
But
was gonna
Jones
say I
came
think
on
he had
fourth.
problems. Yeah, I
Yep,
think he had problems in Phoenix and lost the championship in Phoenix that year.
yep. So then, yeah, there's other than Brad.
Or not Phoenix and Homestead, I mean, because he won Phoenix the next to last race, and then they had problems in Homestead. I think he kind of had a Matt Kenseth moment like Kenseth did in 2013 with Johnson.
Yep.
Shit the bed. He shit the although well no Kenseth shit the bed in Phoenix and they went into Homestead with too big of a fucking gap to make up at Homestead and it was vice versa. I think Jones won Phoenix but then shit the bed in Homestead and lost it.
Well, that leaves, yeah, then that leaves Brad Keselowski as the only remaining full-time driver who could possibly go check all the box for all three. And I
No,
say
Austin
that,
Dillon can.
yeah, not likely, but Austin
Yeah.
Dillon, but the box that Dillon's got to go check is the hardest one to check.
Yeah.
Brad could
Yeah.
easily go win a Truck Series championship if he wanted to. I have
Oh
no
yeah.
doubts in that whatsoever. Even if he had to fund his own team, I could see him doing it. But or doing it with Dodge, because he won his championship and Cup with Dodge and his championships in Xfinity or
Yep.
the nationwide. So, but he's the only one left because even it doesn't matter about what the talent is that's coming up right now. None of them are going through that career path anymore. They're either doing full time this or full time that, but they're not committing to following a ladder system anymore. They're kind of hopping around like Heim or like Brent Cruz, who went straight to it, or Huddy
That's
Day.
that
So
is
that will stop them, any future driver, from being able to possibly check this box, is why I say that
yeah.
Brad's the last that'll have that opportunity.
That is one. I mean, I didn't want to touch too much on it when I was talking earlier, but that is a point that I've always wondered why they didn't give Heim the opportunity to be able to do that this year because
Yep.
he was. I mean, I get it. You've got to have sponsorship to be able to put him in a ride. He's got to have a seat to even go in to run the O'Reilly series, but so I mean, I get it to an extent, but it sucks to not see him have that opportunity because I think he's
Yeah.
one that probably could have come in and done it as well.
Oh, for sure. I
Um,
believe Heim could do it. The problem for Heim is Heim's signed with Denny Hamlin's group, 2311, and the only good Toyota team in the middle is a JGR, and it's clear that
that
Baby
yeah,
Gibbs is not going to let him in a JGR car due to
yeah,
whatever the
that's
feud is.
yeah,
So there's nowhere for him to go, and they're definitely not going to let him go run for Junior Motorsports, a Chevy, or some other team for a year, only to pull him back in. So it's they're basically just cherry picking spots for him. But again, I'm glad that they're giving him the opportunity in all these different where they can, and they're not rushing him in there because he's he's
Well,
he's ready now.
yeah,
He's
I
shown.
think the manufacturer battle, I get it to an extent. They don't want their driver going somewhere else. They don't want the potential for because they're going to give that recognition to another manufacturer if he does go win a championship. But the fucking experience that he would have got if they would have allowed him to go and
Oh
run
yeah,
a season for someone like Junior Motorsports and the confidence that kid would have carried coming into a full-time cup ride, probably off the back of a fucking championship run. If he didn't get beat by Justin Allgaier, he was going to be there at the fucking end, battling for it.
yeah.
I mean, the only that was going to be, I mean, that would have been his only holdup was going to be trying to take that championship away from Allgaier. Because everybody talks about and no matter how you look at it, as far as the ultimate uh, dominance that Toyota's had in the Cup Series, Allgaier is making him look horrible. That he almost
Yes,
has a two.
yes.
He's what, close to a 200 fucking point lead now with that win.
He
That
is. Yep. With that lead, let me switch over here to this because they were off this week. So he has. Where's their results? Standings. He has a 200 because he has 770 points. All right, so yeah, Jesse Love has 591 points. Allgaier has 770. He's got over 2.5 race lead in points already. That's
so
crazy. And he's got 225 stage points to Love, who has the next highest at 149. Quaffle has 122, and Jones has 120. Nobody else has more than 100 after that. They're all
yeah,
short on
it's what
the track.
107, 100, 180 something point lead.
Yep, absolutely
That
insane.
that's that's fucking. I mean, yeah, he can almost he can almost take a breather and rest the last three races of the fucking season and still get
He
the
has
regular season championship.
179 points ahead of second. 179
Yeah,
points.
179. So yeah, I was close. Fuck, man.
That's crazy. Conversely, Hamlin has whittled the lead that Reddick had at one point down after today's result down to 50 something. So it's now within a race, one race reach.
Yeah,
If he has
he's
another
closed
bad
in
day.
what 80 points in three races or some shit like that.
Yeah, it's
84
pretty
points.
crazy how things are at this point.
And that's even with there's another fucking crazy stat. That's even with Tyler Reddick getting because did Hamlin get any stage points this race? I don't think he was far enough up in the first two stages, was he? And Reddick won the first stage finally, the
He
first
has,
fucking stage
well, he
win.
got 62 points. So, and you can only get 55 for winning, right? Yeah.
Well, I know he
So
wasn't there in the first stage.
Hamlin got stage points in stage two. He finished fifth.
Okay,
So he
but
advantage.
Reddick won and that's with Reddick winning the first stage.
Yep.
That's a very and that's the very first stage win for Reddick all year. 5 wins, and that's the first stage win that he's had all year.
That's crazy. But so, and Dale Jr. said something about this, and I agree. If we're putting these two cars head to head, the 45 and the 11 is going to spank the 45. They've got the better team, and that's the important part. They run better throughout the entire race, and they're able to recover better. Where
Well,
A lot of Reddick's
yeah,
success is capitalizing on others' misfortune so far this season, and then when they're having a bad day, they don't give up a lot of ground. Denny and their team, not only have they capitalized on others, but they've capitalized on their own misfortune and recovered. Where Tyler, when they've had a bad day, they haven't necessarily been able to recover the same way. So if I have to pick one or the other, I think the
they
season.
haven't. Yeah, they really haven't really. They haven't really recovered. They've just maintained. I mean,
Yeah, they're
this
living
is
off that buffer.
yeah, this is his first finish though.
It's his
Fuck, I
first
think.
DNF this season.
Yeah, I
And
was
his
gonna say
first
this is
one
his first
outside the.
DNF. I know that, and I think his first finish outside of what I think he had a 22nd place finish.
Well, he's only had four finishes. He's only had one DNF this year, and he's finished in the top 10, 11 out of 15 races. So he hasn't had very many bad finishes.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think his worst finish before this was what, 22nd?
Yep. So let's see. I think that's right. So let's look at where everybody else finished. Let's go back to the results here. That was Charlotte. Get me back to.
But yeah, I the problem with Jones is, yeah, we're gonna see a lot of uh, the same problem that we're having with Heim. I mean, Heim's getting in a fucking great car, but where's Jones ultimately going to go at this point now is the problem, unless we
Right.
can
Like
really get
Jones,
somebody.
Jones could be great for somebody. We've seen Jimmy Johnson loading up investors for his team. I don't know what that means in terms of performance, other than more money, the
Well,
better,
look,
right?
I mean,
So,
what can you say? It looks for performance when holy fuck, look at where
yeah.
uh, John Hunter and Eric Jones were the entire race. I mean, if
Yeah,
they
I mean,
weren't in the top 10, they were right there fucking.
If Hocevar doesn't take out John Hunter, he's in the top 10 at the end of this race, more than likely.
Oh yeah, I'm sure
So,
because both him and Jones were right there the entire fucking race. If they weren't in the top 10, they were right at it.
but here's your so when you look at the results, so these again, this is yeah, it's a bigger track, but it's still like typical traditional NASCAR typical race. And you look at who's where and where they finished. Okay, Hamlin, not a surprise. Bubba's been consistently good for a while. Eric Jones, okay, so that's an outlier. We don't see that from Legacy very much. So again, shows what he can do for a car that's less than great. A couple of years ago he went and won the Southern 500 with
Twice.
them, and he's won it twice. That's not, and he did it without being on a part of a big team, a super team.
Yeah.
Hocevar, again, outlier, still new to being up in that front group. Suarez hasn't been traditionally up in that group of, top 10 performers. Finished in sixth. Logano finally finishing where you expect a three-time champion to, somewhere in the top 10. He finished seventh. Blaney salvaging a good day. Chris Buescher, Chase Briscoe, Cindric. Cole Custer finishes 12th. Like, they needed that. They've been running abysmal all year. Herbst, who's out at the 35 next year, where Heim's going to go in, and we don't know officially where Herbst is going to go, finishes 13th. John
Custer's been.
Jack still finished 14th,
Oh, I saw that. That was kind of crazy. But I was going to
which
make
is
the
crazy.
comment for. I was going to make the comment for Cole Custer has been running abysmal for years,
Yep.
not just this year. It's been
Yeah.
fucking years. That kid has fucking suffered.
Yep. I'm sure he would be happy to go back to O'Reilly at this point. Um,
I mean,
Barry,
he's even gone back and then came back again to just suffer some more.
yep. Barry finishes quietly 15th. They've needed a good run. They haven't had one.
Oh,
Chastain
they've that,
finishes 16th.
and he had a miserable fucking race. He got caught
Yep.
up in a couple of those incidents too. So that was a hard fought 15th.
How did Byron, where when we had that incident at the wall, how did he end up with as good as he ran? How did he end up back there? Byron finishes 18th. I don't know
Well,
what they did.
where the fuck did they pull a strategy call? That was one thing I missed because I was live through a lot of this. I was trying
Mhm.
to make notes, watch the race. I was doing
Yep.
my I was live through the entire race. So I'm but I all of a sudden he was there.
Yep.
He's leading. He was leading at the end of that,
Yeah.
and then he disappeared. So I don't. I mean, I don't know if it was a strategy call that got him there, and then again, just as quick as he fucking showed up, he was gone.
Yep. He was up there when Chase and Larson. I was like, okay, so HMS is going to have a really good day. And then Chase has his thing, and you see Byron for a short period after, and then he's gone. And I was like, well, what happened here? I thought for sure he had a good car based on where he was running at that period. But
Hey,
Bowman, yeah, go ahead.
I do got to bring up, man, with that chase, and I mean, I know we talked about it a little bit in the chat. I mean, I get what Chip was saying in the chat. We were messaging there a little bit about that wreck, but I think they need to bring in a few more new procedures on repairing these walls because that hit and looking at that camera angle that they kept showing on that wall,
Hmm.
that was fucking sketchy. I mean, I understand they went in and they fucking welded, but if there would have been another car buried nose first right there in that same fucking spot in that wall, do you really think that would have held up enough? I was worried about that. If they got another car
Yeah.
hit that wall and fucking turn one of these guys into a shish kebab, that would have been a fucking disaster.
No, I completely agree. I think if you don't repair the wall properly, the next time it takes an impact, which isn't outside the realm of possibility at this track and how high speeds and when they, we saw Zilich spin out like people spin out on their own in the past here. And when these cars catch, they catch quick and take off.
I, I
I
mean
mean,
that would have been
wall
just like
failed, I think.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that would have been another Mike Harmon and Michael Waltrip at fucking Bristol
Yep.
fucking rep. But at fucking double the speed.
Yeah.
At double the fucking speed. That would have been, I mean, that I don't know. I had an issue. I mean, honestly, I would not have wanted to see Byron win that race, but
I would
I
have
would
been okay
not.
if they had called it because of the wall repair.
Yeah,
Not because that's what I want to see happen, but I don't want them to go where the wall could give out and you
yeah,
hit
I was
concrete hard.
sketched out. I was honestly worried the whole finish of that race. I was just hoping that somebody did not fucking wreck there again. That I'm sorry, but that was that was a huge no for me on NASCAR. They
So, yeah, go ahead.
well, I just think they need to have. And I mean, I understand it's hard because you don't necessarily know where these cars are going to impact. There's
Mhm.
straight fucking sections of wall. There's curved sections of wall, but there's got to be something in place where that can be replaced. Not, I mean that angle on that wall. I understand putting the steel plates in that they did, but I think if there would have been another impact there, I think that could have been potentially. I mean, it could have been potentially fatal.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know yet what the result's going to be for Christopher Bell and the rest of his season yet. Like, I don't think they're season-ending injuries, but they're definitely season hiccups for sure. As far as we know, nothing's broken yet. So, um, but so the one I wanted to mention outside of the ones we were talking about is so RCR mentioned this week they're not going to put anybody else in the car for the rest of the year. It's going to be Austin Hill just because of the logistics and the going back and forth and everything. Well, he finished 20th today. And while yeah, he's not going to earn any, serious points for a guy who's never run full time in Cup, and you look at the people he's out running that have been there for a while, and some of them are taking themselves out. But, you know, at the end of the day, he manages to, this is the second race in a row. He's still finishing well. He's not doing too bad. So, I mean, maybe
Well,
he ends up being the guy that's going to
I
go in there. Yeah.
I don't agree with that because look at how many cars actually wrecked out, and look at how
Oh, yeah.
many
There's a
cars that
lot
have
of
been.
people that are out. I mean, you lost a lot of attrition, so
But
we don't know where he'd have been. I mean, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, 11, 12. You'd have thought we were at Talladega 13, 4. We've lost more cars than we have at Talladega, I think, actually.
oh yeah, well, not only that, but go and look at how many cars finished ahead of him that were. I mean, he was spun in one of those wrecks, but
Yep.
look at how many of those cars had damage that finished ahead of him though.
True. Yeah.
The performances are still not there in those cars. He was being outrun by people that had fucking damage on their cars. Another one I've got to bring up, and I feel absolutely horrible for. I wish we would have brought it up earlier. Fucking the Zane Smith, that
Yep.
fucking kid. Oh my
Yep.
god, that what a fucking heartbreaker. Two
Yeah.
thirds of the way, or fucking, I don't even think it was 2/3. I think he was 3/4 of the way through that race, and that fucking had that tire go down and wreck that car. He ran in the top 10 the entire race. That sucked.
Yep. But it's showing
That
what he's
sucked.
capable of. He's another one that's being tossed about in silly seasons rumors of where he may end up if he doesn't stay front not front row.
Yeah,
So
furniture row. Yeah, I get
furniture row.
those mixed
Yeah,
up
I do
too.
that too sometimes. So back to our guy Heim time. He wins the truck race this weekend. The trucks always put on a fantastic show. Did you watch any of the truck race? And if you did, what'd you think?
I was live during the truck race too, but oh my god! At some point, I think Honeycutt's done giving him any breaks.
Yeah.
That's twice that he has absolutely just blocked the shit out of Honeycutt. at the
Well,
end of.
yeah, but didn't Honeycutt, was it Honeycutt that dumped him at Bristol and stopped him from getting that big bump, that payout?
Was it?
Trying to remember. I need to go back to the Bristol page, but I'm fairly certain it was Honeycutt that took him out.
It could have been,
So,
but
I mean, either way, but yeah,
yeah.
so they might be just dueling it out because I mean, Honeycutt's another one that at some point, I mean, it's too early to determine just yet, but I mean, he's making the case that he's going to be a possible solution to some of these pieces that need to move around because you look at again, look at the guys that are occupying seats right now, and should they really be there at this point is the question. You know, Cole Custer, if his dad didn't work for Gene Haas, he wouldn't be in the Cup Series. Ty Dillon has no business being in the Cup Series. Um, I don't really believe Austin Hill belongs there necessarily. I
No,
think
I
yeah,
I don't
I,
know.
I think Bowman, for health reasons, need to just put it put it away. Josh Berry, same thing. You know, he had a stellar, but he doesn't really have the career resume to at the junior two series level to prove that he belongs to be up there.
Who?
Um, Barry, Josh Barry.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
So like there's three or four seats I could see separate from the bigger seats that are moving pieces around where I would easily slot in some of these guys and see what they can do. Take a honeycut,
Uh
take a day, take a, you're gonna have the take. You're gonna when Denny said when he retires, it's gonna be Brent Cruz in his spot. So like, some of these are definitely gonna happen, and others, you know,
I mean, Brent Cruz makes a little bit of sense. Honeycutt and Day, though, I mean, those are still a couple of guys that need a lot more seat time, in my opinion.
I agree. I agree. I'm just saying you don't have you are you going to get worse results than you're getting right now?
No, but on the same hand, I don't want to see. I'd hate to see I would hate to see somebody's career get ruined by rushing them in too, because,
No,
like
I
I
agree. I
said,
don't want
we
to rush them up. I'm just saying
yeah,
if you're going to replace your person, they're definitely good candidates. I agree that they need more time for sure, and I
yeah.
wouldn't want to rush them up. But if you're absolutely bent on getting rid of one of your guys, I mean, I don't know who else you would go pick. Uh, like
I'm interested to see what happens with the comment made by Allgaier after the that last race on the potential. We've all been told that this was supposed to be his last year, and
yeah,
that sounds like that might be changing.
yeah, and what Denny said in his post race press conference, that even though he's got this plan, that plan still could change.
Yeah,
So,
I mean,
um,
fucking Allgaier's only 40 years old. He
right.
just turned 40. And to have somebody like Justin Allgaier leading some of these kids coming through the Chevy pipeline,
Hmm.
especially through an organization like Junior Motorsports.
No, I agree. I think that's a key component for sure is having a champion and a seasoned veteran show you how to do it and what not to do. And that's just as important as being able to go fast and everything. So,
I mean, I get his kids are still kind of little. I understand the wanting to go and spend the time with your family, but man, I think there's a ton of potential there for Allgaier. Unfortunately, I think the potential that he could have possibly had in the Cup Series, he was one that we basically saw got rushed in too early,
mhm.
uh, and um, that was one of the big mistakes I think I saw through one of the few mistakes I've seen through the Penske pipeline, bringing Allgaier in way too early,
Yep.
and
Well, Kligerman's another one that didn't get really the fair shot that he deserved when he was with
he
Penske.
just he just never got a fucking shot. Period. It didn't seem
No,
like,
and
and at least not a legitimate one.
no, Parker Kligerman's definitely for me one of those what could have been,
Yeah.
guys that if you because we've seen what he's done with either halfway like mid-tier funded teams and one-off races at both the second tier and third tier trucks and O'Reilly that he can
And
win
on
and he's
and
got the
honest,
skills.
yeah, and honestly, for as much as I don't necessarily like the guy, there's three. I mean, one of them, one uh, championships in the O'Reilly series. Well, but I honestly don't think David Reagan, Trevor Bayne, or the one that I was just especially talking about, I don't necessarily care for him either. Ricky Stenhouse. They never got a fair shake in
No, when they got their opportunities with Roush, it was during Roush's low
decline.
periods, and
Yep.
they weren't in a position to succeed. And
Nope.
unfortunately, those are kind of like Casey Atwood and others. Like those are just careers of what could have been.
Yeah, I
Where
always
just
forget about Casey Atwood. Yeah, he was
where
another
there's
one.
tons of talent, not the right opportunity at the right time. Opportunity, but not the right opportunity. And that's where, for like a Justin Allgaier, I give him kudos. He could go up and take a cup seat, but would you rather run at the back of the pack or would you rather be at the front of the pack at the second tier
Yeah.
down? Which one is more enjoyable? Competing for wins every week, possibility of championship, and winning every week, and then the money that goes with it, and you have your Sundays off, or and definitely not the same workload, or you can go over here for the cup, make more likely less money, even though the charter value system, like I think that'll work itself out over time. But right now, more likely make less money and run in the back. Probably get wrecked every week because when you're back there racing with the squirrels, that's what happens.
and
Um,
I'm going to touch on this through with what you're saying. I don't get a whole lot of phone calls from you, but the one phone call I did get from you, you made the fucking comment right there. Would you rather run in the back on fucking Sundays? Granted, you might even make more money that way. But Corey LaJoy, goddamn it,
yep,
I had a possible opportunity to go to a fucking JRM car, and you said no,
yep,
just so
right.
you could fucking stay in a seat on Sunday.
hmm I bet you
I
he
mean,
wishes he could have that one
I
back.
love the guy, but
And
god damn it, man,
in
what
hindsight,
do
I
we?
bet you he wishes he could have that one back now. Like, give him a couple years of maturity and,
I
look,
mean, I don't know
having
if
gone
that
through.
fully was on the table. I know that was brought up, but son of a bitch,
Yep.
and I feel bad for him. He got fucking wrecked this weekend. He was fucking running great in
hmm
that fucking truck race.
Yep. He was running good. Unfortunately got taken out. So let's talk about our standings. Like I said, we got 11 races left till we snap the chalk line. Um, of the, I think, Tyler Reddick's number, sitting as the top seed looks pretty human now. At the beginning, everybody was trying to say he's going to be the number one seed going in. I think if they have a couple more things like this, they'll be lucky if they're in the top five because the other
Yeah.
guys are coming. If Chase Elliott and Ty Gibbs aren't in a wreck, they close in even more. Um, Ryan Blaney hovering pretty much the same. The fact that Chase Elliott can have a wreck and Ty Gibbs can have a wreck and they lose 0 spots tells you how good their seasons have been.
Oh yeah.
Um, Larson is still secure in sixth, but our big movers, Hocevar moved himself up 2 spots. Suarez moved himself up a spot. Bell dropped 3, unfortunately, from that incident. Probably going to drop some more depending on what happens this week. Bubba gained 4 and yet is only in 11th. And they've just been bleeding points. So they needed to stop the bleeding. So they needed that very badly. They had good stage performance, good race performance. Byron bled another spot. Chase Briscoe made up 1, which he needed after giving away some spots a couple weeks ago, where he clearly had a car that could contend and he threw it away. SVG, like we said, had a bad day. All of them had a bad day in that camp, but he's one of the few that can't afford to give up spots just because of his, oval skill set. Yet isn't as good as it needs to be to
And he
bear
wouldn't
the
have
yeah
had he not been caught in that wreck. I mean, that wreck destroyed the front end of that race car.
yeah
Otherwise, he would have at least. I think he would have held station. He wouldn't have made up anything, but he at least would have held station. Especially with whatever happened at the end with Byron dropping, that would have been fucking huge for SVG to potentially be able to take. Because I think he was only a few points behind Byron going into this race.
yeah he was securely in there. I'll go back to the pre-race starting spots. So Brad Keselowski drops 2 as well. Cindric stays the same. Now below the cut, this is where we got some guys that are making movement. Joey Logano moved up to 17th. He's only 4 points out of it. 332 to 329. Like 4 points puts him in. So if he and Big Ball Paul can slowly chip away at it, they can still do it. Eric Jones,
Somebody send
big lift.
somebody
Big
somebody
lift.
send that somebody send that motherfucker a wheelbarrow to get them balls in the fucking garage.
You know, Eric Jones up 3 spots, 18th. He's only 20 points out of it. You know, I think the top, there's going to be the battle for the top position inside the top three seed is about to tighten up in these final 11 races, but the battle to get in is going to be crazy as we come down the stretch here because they're not very far apart. Priest is
And that and
315, 1 point behind Jones. He's 20 points behind Joey, and he's just over 20 points behind Cindric. So there's a couple guys, I would say down to 22nd, you still have a shot. 282 points to 329 because you can score 75 points in a race. And we saw Reddick today, for example, only get 12. If the guys you got to beat only get this, just above single digits and you get a 20, 30, 40 point day like Eric Jones did today, you can still make up good ground.
I think Eric Jones for me is a giant sleeper when it comes to that because with the performance that those cars have had over almost the last 10 races, those
Mhm.
cars been, I mean, they've had some speed in them. Not Joe Gibbs speed, but they're Toyotas. Those cars have had speed in them. What Legacy is doing has definitely uh, been paying dividends. And he can be a sleeper because that kid's a fucking grinder. He's one that's been around for a long time, been in the sport for a long time. A lot of people don't realize it. Just like Ross Chastain.
Mhm.
Chastain's fucking been around NASCAR for fucking ever. Go out and ask any fan in the fucking grandstands and see if they can give you a legitimate answer on how long Chastain's been in the sport. Not just the Cup Series, just been in the sport, but even the
Yep.
fucking Cup Series, he's been around forever.
I just think of those red Flex Seal cars with the yellow numbers for Nice and for
Yeah,
that's what I
yeah,
think of. You know,
yeah.
um, where everybody
Uh,
was, and the funny thing is, everybody was back to your original point we talked about earlier, where Rick stepped in when Ross was doing some things that he didn't like. He's doing the same thing Carson Hocevar does right now, where he
mhm.
dive bombs people and chops and slide jobs and over pushes it. Well, how the hell do you think Ross got his wins, but B, his shot by doing that very thing? So I agree. I I want to see uh Hocevar deliver on what I think we all see that he can be, but I don't want to see him neutered either from what makes him him. And I think it's actually
Yeah,
good. Not There's no danger of him going to an HMS car with his 10-year deal with Spire, because his personality fits much better over there, where they kind of let him be him, as opposed to Rick's not going to tolerate that. So
yeah.
looking at the races we got left, we mentioned uh, 2 races ago who we thought was going to win some of them. I see. So next week's Pocono. Any reason you think
Fuck.
Do you any reason you think the 11 car doesn't go there and say "Boom my rock"?
No, I mean I feel bad. I was hoping that the Fords would at least have some. I was hoping the Fords would have some speed back this week because I had picked Keselowski. Love to see him get a hometown win. I'd love to see him be the first Michigan driver to get a hometown win at this race.
Yep, I had high hopes for him, but unfortunately,
Because
luck was not on our side.
there's a bunch of them in the field now.
Yep.
Not just him. For the longest time, it was just him. Maybe one or two every once in a while, but now there's what 4 or 5 of them that are from Michigan now. Hocevar being one of them.
Yep. And then I was
I
like,
forget.
well, shit, Brad's gonna be really pissed when Hocevar gets the first win for a Michigan-born driver there.
Yeah, because you got Brad, you got Hocevar. If I'm not mistaken, I think Eric Jones is.
Mhm.
Uh, there's a few of them in the field now. Um, but even on the pre-race list that we put together, I've got Hamlin at Pocono. I mean, fuck, how can you? Even if it wasn't the simple fact of the dominance the Toyotas have this year, it's fucking Hamlin.
Well,
He's
if I
got
remember correctly, when we were doing our preseason picks, I picked this to be the where Hamlin made his return, through all of his, pain, suffering, getting it together, after losing his father at the beginning of the season. So I figured it would take till here for him to really assert himself. And in some ways, I'm not wrong. Yeah, he won early in March, but then he's been good, but he really didn't assert himself till only 2, 3 weeks ago? Did he really show he's really back to being him? You know, as he goes through the bumps, like okay, he's officially back now. He's won 3 of the last 4 events. Like
Yeah,
you're,
because you and Blake
he's back.
had Busher for this race for
Mhm.
Michigan. I had Keselowski. And then coming up in Pocono, me and you had Hamlin and Blake had Chastain
And
coming
then we
up
go
in
from Pocono to Naval
San,
Base Coronado. You can just put SVG's name on that trophy unless he gets wrecked. That's his
yeah,
trophy.
because
It's
you
the new
you two
course.
both
It's his.
yeah you two both had Zilich on that one. I took SVG.
Well, at the beginning of the year, I thought Zilich was going to do better. I got to be honest. I I I definitely drank the Kool-Aid. I was wrong.
Yeah, in fact, I'm looking. I didn't have Zilich at all this year. Unfortunately, I have one coming up at Richmond that's really going to fucking hurt.
Yeah, I have Kyle Busch winning.
Yeah,
I think I had him winning somewhere in the season, and obviously that's not going to happen, unfortunately.
yeah. You you
Uh,
you and Blake both have Dylan at Richmond. I had Bush.
um, then we go to Sonoma. So, if SVG doesn't go back to back, I'll be surprised. But then I think that's the last time looking at the rest of these till we get to Richmond. I think that's the last time you're going to see a non-Toyota win. I think a Toyota's going to win
Hmm.
Chicago, North Wilkesboro, Indianapolis, Iowa, New Hampshire. Daytona will be there. Yeah, so until we get to the cutoff, that's it's going to be Toyota's show unless somebody
Yeah,
figures them out. So, but we're running out of opportunities fast for some of these guys. It's really surprising to me how many people have thrown away knowing that a win and you're in is not going to get it done and you have to be consistent. The number of people who have pissed away opportunities so far this year, not early in the season, but that are doing it now through mistakes that are
yeah.
not
At point,
that are not
just
racing smart heads up. The first 6 or 7 races you're feeling it out, but these last 8, I expected people to kind of be locking into what they got to get done now, and surprisingly, they're not. Like the gut, I'm surprised that you look at where's my standings again.
well
When I
for
look
me. I
at
think yeah,
yeah,
the biggest
yeah,
one, in what you're talking about right there is going to be Byron. Uh,
yeah,
I think this is going to be an interesting take to see what happens with Byron and how he comes out the other side of this with the backward slide that they have been having, the lack of uh, victory lane potential that team has had, and like I said, overall, I mean he's close to that cut line. In my opinion, he's one that definitely, especially with the 2 fucking road courses coming up, with the way SVG is, and the performance that Eric Jones and some of these guys have been showing on the back end. That team has not had the performance, has not had the numbers on the board to ultimately, I think, in my opinion, for them, feel safe on hanging on to the end of that fucking chase.
they've led 41 laps this season. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That last year they were so good. This year, honestly, I don't even know how they're where they are, truthfully, at 377 points because they haven't really run that well. They've got two top fives, 7 top 10s. They've had 3 DNFs.
Yeah.
They're still 12th in points, which is crazy. But Chase Briscoe, I figured by now they would have straightened their act up. But last week showed, they're racing more desperate than they have to because really he should be inside the top 10 in points at this point, especially in when you look at what his teammates have with what Ty Gibbs has been able to do, what Denny's been able to do, what Bell's been able to do. Bell's had some bad luck. Bell was leading a race that he was definitely going to win and got taken out by a spinning car.
He's had his share of bad luck too, though. So I
Yeah,
mean,
he's had his
it's
share of
that
bad luck. But of the two, of those
they're
two,
leaving way more points on the table than
yeah,
everybody else has,
yeah,
though.
I had both of those guys solidly inside the top 10, and both are not only outside of it, but they're free falling out of it.
Yeah.
Bell dropped 3 today. Chase Briscoe gave us points last week, made up some of them. But you got
That might
there.
Bell, depending on if Bell ends up out of the car or not, that may be one of the only saving graces for Byron
Yeah, because you
is
look
those
at it,
points. the points that Bell's going to give up, and the drop that he's going to make, maybe the only saving grace to keep Byron in that chase come the end of the season, the regular season.
When you look at the people we expected to be in those 16 spots that are below the cut line, it's quite surprising whether they're out by a point or out by 100 points. Joey Logano, I thought for sure he and Paul would adapt better to this format and come with a different strategy. Um,
They're
but
getting
then
there. They're
they're
fucking
getting
getting there,
there.
dude.
They're getting there, but I'm just surprised that if they are making their push, you're kind of playing Russian roulette. You're running out of opportunities. I mean, they're at the door. Chastain, they got
But
to
with
get
the
it
lack
turned
of the
around.
lack of the lack of performance in the Fords, though, I mean, it's kind of
Yeah.
hard to. I mean, it's kind of. I mean, look at what they're doing with the lack of performance that they've seemed to have.
Well, I was expecting Joey and Paul to capitalize on Joey's strength of fuel savings to strategize their way there when they don't have the
One,
car with the speed to
yeah.
out strategize. That's where I was expecting Paul to make up the difference for them.
Well, and not only Paul make up the difference, but the fucking strategy calls. I haven't seen them go out on a limb and make some of the calls I thought they might make just to pull stage points, because that would be a big fucking a big game changer for them too, being that close to the cutoff line. But again, on overall performance, I don't know that they want to give up that much on the back end at the end of a race either. I mean, if they've got the potential to keep making those cars faster and maybe go out and get a win as opposed to just some stage points, I mean, there's a fine line there.
Yeah. So Bowman has been back for a couple races now. He's got 178 points. Um, the next guy he needs to leapfrog is Barry with 196. I think he'll get there, but Chastain's sitting 260 points. Do you think Bowman can get inside the top 25 in points before the season's over at this point?
25.
Because we're talking
I mean,
there's 100 points difference between him and the
well,
guy the spot in 25th that he needs to get to. I there's no chance he makes the top 16. None.
no. They might nickel and dime the top 25, but I don't. I don't know. I honestly, depending on what happens with Bowman, on whether or not they're even going to bring the kid back, I think what we don't know behind the scenes, like the comment that was made by Heim, if there's already something there that he knows. I mean, I understand you still want to try and get the best finish for your team as you can, but on the other hand, if you feel like the team's kind of giving up on you, are you really going to make that push? Is it going to make that big of a fucking difference?
Right. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm wondering as well because
Because you don't have the opportunity to get him in a chase position, so that's not going to pull him any extra money as far as manufacturer or team wise if you're not going to make the chase. So why take the chance on putting yourself in a position to injure yourself, especially with fucking head injuries and fucking yourself up? I mean, he might already be fucked up the rest of his life anyways, but why take the
yeah.
chance on? I mean, he's even made the comment. I don't know if I've got another hit like that in me.
Yeah, and he said this is as good as I'm going to get,
Yeah.
which is head scratching. So he's got a 154-point deficit to 16th. And normally I
Yeah.
would say if it was in an
He
HMS car, I feel like that should be doable. Even with 11 races left, I still think that should be doable, but I don't think
t-
so with Alex Bowman.
well, I mean, honestly, if you switch roles and you put Denny Hamlin in that fucking car right now, there's
No, I'm just
I
saying
mean,
if I put Denny Hamlin at a 154-point deficit, I think Denny Hamlin could make up 154 points and still make his way into the chase.
he
So,
could, but again, on the same hand, I mean, I think Denny Hamlin's one that's plenty capable, but on the same hand, even putting Denny Hamlin in that car, how many people do you have between them though?
yeah, I agree.
I mean, you've still got to beat that many people. I mean, he would literally have to run the way Denny Hamlin is running now to have any shot and hope that somebody else I mean, two cars in front of you find a third of the performance that they've been running, and you're still not going to make it.
Yep, like I think he can pass. I without question he'll pass Ty Dillon. He should pass Josh Berry. Should. Gregson again should be able to. John Hunter's going to be a challenge because based on the way they ran this week, they're going
Well,
in that direction, and
and
he's going to be hard to
honestly,
pass Austin Dillon too because Dillon, before he got caught up in that wreck, Dillon was running well. Riley Herbst ran well. Like the
oh,
guys
Riley
he's got to
Herbst.
pass
I
are
kind of feel
good.
bad. That was another one I wanted to touch base
Yeah,
on
I feel
while
bad
we're
for
on here.
Riley.
I feel bad for the kid because he has turned the performance for himself around. I mean, immensely this year, and yeah, that kind of sucks knowing that you're finally coming into your own, and you're now you're losing. Well, I mean, I guess he's known it before.
Yep,
If Heim knew 2 years ago, there's no way that fucking Herbst didn't know.
yep. Well, so
So
to his point, to the point of Riley and what is going to happen with him, earlier it was he was going to go to the third charter. And now that seems with legacy. Now that seems to be in question. And it sounds like Noah Gregson may end up at the 33 next year with the connection with Bass Pro. So then who would go in the 4 car? Granted, I think Noah is one of those guys that might do well to go backwards for a season, regain his confidence, kind of. But I think now.
well, I don't know about that. I would if they can keep some of the performance in these RCR cars that we've
Yeah,
been seeing, I would honestly love to see Noah go to that team, in my opinion, because that is a team that is going to let Noah be Noah,
yep,
and they're going to have his fucking back. And if that with the uptick in performance that that team has had, yes, I think it would pay dividends for him to go backwards. I mean, if he had the opportunity to potentially go back with JRM, which I don't know if Junior would have him come back or not. I'm sure Junior probably would. I mean, I mean, he's he doesn't get the attention Hocevar gets, but he is another Hocevar. He is
I
a
agree.
personality that we
Yep.
want in the sport.
No, I don't want to lose him from the Cup Series. I would just like to see. Here's a guy who almost won an Xfinity championship a few years ago that is unfortunately stuck with a manufacturer at the moment that is not in the place he needs to be. Much where when SHR broke up and everybody kind of went their different ways, Briscoe landed in a good spot.
Yeah.
Gregson has not landed in a good spot. Priest
No.
landed in a good spot. There's all these different pieces, that have moved around. I would love to
And,
see. I would like to see
and
my perfect scenario for RCR at this point is based on that rumor. Gregson goes to RCR. He drives the 31 Bass Pro, puts him back in the Bass Pro like Newman had. I don't want him in the 33. I want him in the 31 because the 31 has more, notoriety as a number for RCR over the longevity of their tenure within the Cup, and
yep.
it gives that car a completely fresh start from any mourning and trying to cope, and from any attachment uh, to the Kyle Busch side, and just start fresh. Because I agree, I think RCR is a place where Gregson can go be Gregson without question. Because he's definitely you see it with the stuff he did last weekend outside the track and the stuff he's done with was it Marshawn Lynch a couple weeks back. Also, he was out there with him. Like he's definitely like you said, he's a personality and we need him. So
Yeah.
I I wouldn't want to see him gone. Now there's some of these guys that I'm like, nobody would miss you if you weren't in the Cup Series whatsoever. So all right.
Um, that could potentially the one I mean, I understand Brad says even without that charter, they're going to make sure that Priest is in that 60 car, but uh, how?
Yeah, that's gonna
I mean,
be
I understand that the sponsors are coming with him, but you're losing out on a shit ton of money by that not being a chartered car. The payouts are not the same for a car
no.
that's not chartered. They've made that overly abundant, which I think honestly is pretty fucking disgusting. I mean, I get that the charter cars come in, but I mean, how are you really going to want to draw in a whole nother manufacturer, a whole nother team, another team owner, and expect the team? This is another reason. This is another problem that I had with the charter system is you're you're not only finding a way to somewhat run some of the smaller teams out, but you're also keeping anybody from coming in. I mean, you're not making it affordable or advantageous for someone to even come in and attempt it because they know they're going to walk out on the fucking losing side.
Hmm.
Even
Well,
if they win, they're not going to fucking they're
yeah,
not going to get shit for money.
when they threw out the $5 million deal difference between chartered and not chartered, but then you consider how much it's going to cost you now to buy a charter compared to,
Yeah.
lawsuit, like that's you need it, but man, is it going to be expensive to do it. But you definitely need it. Like there's no for
I
the
mean,
long-term health,
you literally.
success, you got to have it.
But how many? But how many? How many teams? How many new owners do you ultimately think we're going to see come into the sport? Because you can't come in, dip your toe in the fucking water. Oh fuck, that feels nice. Let's go for it and go buy a fucking charter because you can't afford to even come and dip your toe in the fucking water anymore.
No, I think you're going to see, looking at it after the lawsuit, I think we're only going to see one more new team owner come in, and that's going to be whoever comes in
Comes
and
in with
picks up
Dodge.
Dodge to go with it because there's four charters sitting there for a new manufacturer. Three of them can be claimed by a Dodge team that doesn't include anybody transitioning. So Dodge could either start an entirely new team, which I would have my team, whoever I'm going to go with. It looks like Colleague at this point, though that wouldn't have been my first choice.
Yeah.
I would definitely, if it were me, if you want to have Colleague, that's fine. But I think there's a reason why, we look back at when Dodge initially was going to come back a couple of years ago, and it was rumored that Brad Keselowski was leading negotiations with them at the time. And then they stepped back and went away again because NASCAR was still pushing that EV thing. And now Dodge is
Well,
back in their EV thing.
and
But
the sad part is, I think Dodge really fucked up because look what fucking Brad's done at fucking RFK.
well, I
I
think
think
they did
they
it and it's going to work in their favor. And here's why. Brad has built RFK to be OEM agnostic. They are not a key tier partner with Ford. In terms of like they don't get all their stuff directly. They build their own sim, they build their own tools, which means they can join any manufacturer and they already have all the processes built. They don't
I
have
hope
to.
so, but I
I'm not saying
mean,
that will happen, but it gives them the
yeah,
capability to switch at least. Which the reason why I bring that up is because Jimmy Johnson said they're doing the same thing at Legacy, that
I would
RFK
like
for that
I would
reason.
like to see, yeah, I would like to see that as an opportunity. I just think, unfortunately, with Roush still being a part of that team, I mean, that's going to be a hard fucking sell, man.
I
I
agree.
mean,
Well,
that guy has been. I think
Ford
I
through and
think
through forever. Yeah.
I think he had a fucking blue oval on his fucking diaper in the fucking in when he was born, man. I did,
Yeah.
seriously, that fucking guy has been Ford from day one.
Yep. So I agree. But if anybody's gonna if there's a bigger team in the top 20 that could shift, I think they're it because of the positioning. And you could say the same thing for Legacy because Legacy is going down that same path. It's why they're taking longer to catch the rest of Toyota, per Jimmy's own words. If you listen to the interview he did with Stack and Pennies and them, it was really
Yeah,
interesting hearing some of the things he was talking about how like, okay, well, we have all the same data, but we don't have all the same tools to process and to extract the information. We're building all those for
yeah,
ourselves. So it takes us longer to get to the same point as JGR does.
but
But that's fine. But they're getting there. They're making
yeah.
headway. And he's hiring good people. They
Oh yeah,
continue to
he's
hire
hiring
people.
amazing people. That's for damn sure.
And the
My
investors, the investment of people like Darius Rucker and others that are contributing to that pool of money to do the work is definitely you're seeing a dividend paid.
my counterpoint to what you're saying about RFK though would be
Yeah,
the simple fact of, is Ford going to ultimately not step to the fucking plate with the performance that they've been putting together compared to Penske?
I mean, you do have to make the argument like, why are you not investing? I mean, Ford's got a lot on its plate that I think it needs to really do some soul searching on because Penske as a whole isn't as good as they were before, and they're not as good in this format. They've got two cars in the top 16, but one is on the edge. The other one is in there, and the third one, your three-time champion that's won you three titles in the last 6 years, is
Might make it
struggling.
in.
Might make it in. We're not sure yet. And then the three most consistent Ford cars aren't your top tier key partner cars, or the guy that
Nope.
helped build Ford, for that matter.
Yeah.
That put Ford on the map. That partnered with Shelby, and like it's so crazy that Roush is not the key partner that they probably should be. So, but then also Ford has put themselves at a deficit by completely abandoning the O'Reilly series altogether. Um, you know, they've got support in the truck series, but how are you expecting to build yourself a future driver pipeline if you don't have any spots to put future drivers?
We've kind of seen that going in that direction
And
a
it's been
couple of
that way
years,
for a
and
while, but it just
yeah,
continues
it's
to trim back.
strange. It's fucking strange, man. I don't. It almost seems like Ford doesn't. It, for and I'm not lack of a better term, but lack of a better perspective, it seems like Ford doesn't give a fuck about being part of American motorsports anymore.
No, no, I agree. I think all their real focus is on F1
Yeah,
and
that's what it seems to be.
or international racing just in general. But like American motorsport, I agree. I don't feel like Ford has their eye on the prize,
Mm.
which is more surprising to me than anything that makes me head scratch. Like, why did SHR ever go with them to begin with? Like, I think if SHR doesn't go to Ford, they're probably still around, truthfully.
Yeah, because
They don't
that
have
seemed
any
like
dips
it.
in performance and
That yeah, that seemed to be the demise. I mean, I understand why they were trying to make the switch to Ford because they seem to be uh not necessarily getting forced out, but they seem to be losing some of their backing that they were getting from Chevy. That was part of their reasoning of going with Ford.
Mhm.
I ultimately think it was horrible fucking timing because I think if they could have, I think SHR would have been the team that brought Dodge back into
Hell
fucking
yeah.
cup.
Especially with what Tony's doing now with Dodge.
Yeah. And I think I think that's why we see Tony being with Dodge
Yep.
in drag racing is I think that was part of the plan. But with NASCAR trying to make, like you brought up earlier, the EV push, Dodge. I mean, even still, I'm still kind of surprised that Dodge is coming to the sport because Dodge is the one manufacturer that has almost, I think it has the most uh, production cars on the street that are still being made that run more fucking horsepower than the Cup cars do.
They're of the big three, they're the only ones that make cars. Other than of the three that are in there right now, the only other one that makes cars are Toyota. Ford and Chevy don't have a passenger car at all.
Yeah.
They have a sports car, but they've stopped producing, Ford and Chevy. All right, so you got the
Well,
Mustang.
well,
Chevy
and
doesn't have the Camaro.
Camaro wasn't even a passenger car.
Nope. But they've gotten out of the passenger car market, and with gas being as high as it is, that's actually surprising that all these uh, companies just put all their eggs in the basket of, well, we hope that we don't have a gas crisis because if we do, it's really going to f up our sales models because yeah, you're not going
And
to be able
then
to sell a damn thing.
and and now supposedly there and was it possibly in 2028, 2029, fucking Chevy's bringing back the Camaro after saying we're not going to make it anymore.
Yep,
What are we doing?
they're going to have to.
But what are we doing?
Oh, who knows? So, all right.
This is
Yep.
this is where I'm ultimately confused why I understand it's not under the Chevy banner but under GM. How the fuck did we not end up with the Cadillacs
That's what I was going to say. No.
Other than Cadillac seem to do the same thing with their cars that Chevy did with the fucking Camaros. You get rid of the passenger cars? What?
Mhm.
Why?
Because we're an SUV loving society, which are
Says
great,
who?
but you
I
can't
don't
race them.
fuck.
This is
I
where
don't fucking like SUVs.
No, I mean, don't get me wrong. I love cars. I've got SUVs, but I love cars. But this is where everybody was shitting on that, potential of racing SUVs as a NASCAR series one day. I think you're going to have to. You're not going to have a choice unless we're going to change NASCAR into a spec car series and no longer matter what's on the production floor. Because, I mean,
We've basically done that.
well, yeah, but I mean, you're going to have to, at this point, you just make up a body. like cut the front end and back end off and just let three different people make up three different aero platforms, kind of like they do in IndyCar, where you've got Dallara, this and whatever. So I don't know.
What seems to be the issue with that? That's where we've already headed.
Nothing. Indy was phenomenal. That was some of the best racing I've ever seen, period.
But that's where
So
we've headed. That's where we've ultimately gone with. I mean, the sad part is, and I really think Junior has touched on this a little bit. Denny Hamlin brought it up. Uh, I liked the little conversation that Hamlin and Junior had, the little winners exchange that they had on Junior's podcast this last week of bringing up, and I think this is where we can get. I mean, we'll never get back to it, but unless you make the steel or metal bodies, the old steel bodies, we would see a lot of the etiquette and the respect from driver to driver come back if you put a body on that car that's not going to protect stupid fucking mistakes.
yeah, that you can't bounce off the wall and it still stays straight.
You can't bounce it off the wall, can't bounce it off each other
Yeah.
because you're going to bend the fucking body, you're going to fuck your aero, and you're going to ruin your race.
Yep. No, I would love to see them get away from the composites. I get that the composites save money and allow you to continue to roll on and race another lap. But at the same time, it also allows for the lack of respect that we've seen where they're just running into each other with essentially bricks, bouncing bricks off of each other.
So, well, and seeing that's where I would like to put. I would like to see a legitimate breakdown of numbers, a legitimate breakdown of numbers from not only the teams but NASCAR. Both come in with a fucking notebook and show us on paper the numbers of how, even with these composite bodies that are cheaper, how you're saving fucking money. Where, guess what, we didn't see at Michigan in the past, that we didn't see 15 years ago. You didn't see somebody do what fucking Hocevar did and wreck fucking 13 cars on a fucking restart.
You also didn't see somebody go into Michigan, smack the wall like Hocevar did, or Bubba Wallace for that matter, both of which, and come back and finish in the top 10.
No, no.
That wasn't going to happen.
But how many cars did you fucking destroy in that fucking wreck? How is
And it,
that saving the team's money
and it would have
when
destroyed his
you,
own car instead of everybody else's. You know, his
yes,
nose would have caved in instead of pushing the guy out of line. His nose would have given. It would have ruined
and
his day.
yep, it would have ruined his day, and it probably would have at least fucking thrown a huge wrench in the 42's day because it would have fucking crumpled the rear quarter panel instead of fucking just turning him sideways. It wouldn't
Yep.
have fucking turned him up into the fucking 45. It would have just fucking bent that quarter panel in, which we've seen numerous times.
Honestly, he probably would
It,
have been able to go faster through the corner because it would have given him more downforce, much more
yeah,
lift.
yeah,
So,
it would have basically been an extra little spoiler off the fucking corner of the car there. But
but
yeah,
that's traditionally what used to happen. Instead, when you would hit
yeah,
somebody like that, it would jack up their rear end
yep.
and they would have better downforce through the corner. More, they would have more drag in the straight line, which you can't really have at Michigan. But man, would he be able to make up ground in the corner because the spoiler would be so high up in the air. But Chastain would, or not Chastain, Hocevar would have needed a new radiator at a minimum.
Oh, fuck,
Assuming he
absolutely.
can smooth out the crap at the front, he would have
Yeah,
needed a new radiator right off the bat because he would have
yep.
been pouring oil and water.
And get rid of the fucking splitters.
Yep.
Get rid of the splitters. Give us valences back, and it's going to change a lot about these cars.
I mean, so to our point, which we're way off in the weeds now, but
Yeah.
if we were to go to truly spec cars, take everything you've learned inside the car under the body. That's fine. Now let's drop an 88 grand national body, steel body on the outside of that, and let's go racing. I bet you get one hell of a fucking show
Oh God.
where they can't beat the shit out of each other, but you got all the safety innovations, all the technological innovations under the hood. But you get the aero platform that you had back then, and they're raised up, and the aero dependence kind of goes away, and we're back to pure handling and horsepower. Like, but you get all the safety that you need for rollovers and getting airborne and intrusion
Which
the cage, which would be
which
awesome.
Yeah, and that brings me back to something that I wanted to say. I mean, we've touched base on it in previous things. Is you say you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. You don't fucking need to.
No.
Honestly, take that fucking toothpaste, put it in another fucking tube. Just like you said.
Yep.
Give us you can still build the safe. You've got enough technology that you can make these cars safe, but give us these. Even these. Fucking give us one of these back. Let them go fucking run with
Hell yeah.
all the fucking safety innovations. Give us one of these.
Yep. I
I
mean,
mean that would be
there's nothing
fucking
stopping them, and
amazing.
I think Junior's even proposed this from, if I understand what he's proposing for the Xfinity O'Reilly series, and even for the super late models and the Cars Tour. Like this is the part he's talking about. We're about to age out of our ability to do some of this stuff, but we know how to make all these parts. So you don't need part manufacturing. So let's
Give
make
us
them
these.
ourselves. Yep. Like put a brick, get rid of all this sculpted and curves, and just put a brick over that chassis. There's a reason why the trucks run so well a lot of the time. Granted, the people driving them are idiots, but the for the longest time when you had the senior veterans running it, why it was the best racing on TV. When you had the Hornadays, the Spragues, the Bensons, Kyle Busch mixed in there, Harvick mixed in there, why it was the best racing every damn week was because it's a brick on wheels. It had very little aerodynamics other than the rounded front at some point. The rest of it is a brick. So, which is more traditional to the older 80s and 70s cars, which raced so well back then. You know, the truck to me is like the perfect platform. If you could just take what you learned in today's vehicles that you've got in Cup, put that under the body of the truck, but put the, you know, that kind of style, and then go back to that Grand National body you held up or that ASA body. Let's do that. You get a much better.
Well, fuck, it doesn't even I mean, well, I mean, yeah, this was a Grand National car, but they ran
Yep.
these in the Cup too.
Yeah.
I mean, these were Cup cars. I can
Yep.
pull one out. It's fucking Darrell Waltrip's exact same car.
Yeah. Running the Buicks and the, yep.
Yep. And, well, even the Monte Carlos.
Hmm. Yeah. My mom had one growing up.
Yeah, they were
Yellow with a black
badass.
top.
Yeah,
So, all right. Well, I think that's all I got. Anything else you want to talk about?
I don't think so, man.
All right. Well, Denny's on his way to 70, pretty close, you know, pretty handily. I don't think he'll get 70 this year, but I do think if he retires when he says he's going to retire, I think he hits 70 no problem. The way it's
Yeah.
going, you know, he's
Don't think. I mean, unless he stays a couple more years, he might reach Earnhardt at 76,
yeah. I think his surge is too late to get to Jimmy Johnson at 87, I think
83. Him
83.
and him and Cale Yarborough are tied at
You
83.
know, he would need 20 more, but the way he's running, he could get 20 more. But the problem is, you know, if you is very much what happened to Harvick, what happened to Johnson. They're winning, they're clicking off 3 or 4 a year, and all of a sudden it just stops.
Yep.
You can't even explain why. Like, there's no real justification for why Jimmy Johnson stopped winning. He just stopped. Hendrick was
Yeah.
still competitive. Same thing with Harvick. Harvick had a 10 race win season, and then all of a sudden they couldn't get out of their own damn way. They were close to winning, but they couldn't complete it again after that, really. They had 3 wins after that 10 race season. And, you know, I'm glad he was able to win on his way out and good, but I mean, he didn't lose anything. It's just like a switch goes off. And when the switch goes off, your time is done for
Yeah.
whatever reason. You know, we'll never know if if the switch went off on Kyle Busch or not. I think we all hoped it hadn't, but I mean, it may have. You know, he withdrew.
I don't think it had.
I don't think it had, but he did withdraw a lot from the bank very early on. You know, 234 races across all 3 series. At some point, that switch has got to shut off. But at the same time, we saw Kyle Busch do Kyle Busch things in the Truck Series race just the weekend before. So,
Oh
uh,
yeah.
which we haven't seen from other guys in those same positions. So,
But I did before we leave at least want
Mr.
to
Jarrett.
throw, yep, throw a little. I think it was ultimately amazing that he was inducted in 2011, which was the car number that he drove through, if not all of, I know the majority of his career. Um,
It's
but
been a rough
yeah,
year for NASCAR fans. We've lost some legendary drivers prematurely
yeah,
and due to father time. Uh, Ned Jarrett,
Bo- Ned, Bobby.
yep,
Um,
Greg, and
yep.
Kyle. You know, all Hall of Fame, all you know, have left indelible marks on the sport throughout
Oh
its
yeah.
history. So, all right, buddy, appreciate your time. I'll let you get to it, and we'll
Well, I
see
think, I
what
mean,
comes from that.
even
Yeah,
even looking at even recently, I mean, within the last year and a half, I mean, shit, we've lost what, Rex White.
yep,
We've lost quite a few, man. Just
yeah.
and
So
but yeah, thank you, man.
we'll see what comes from Pocono. I have a feeling Denny's going to be like Boo My Rock. It just seems to be his place, and he's on a steamroll. They always say it's his. The industry is always like it's his year till it's not his year. I've never felt like that until this year. Like for sure, it feels like it's his year this year. I mean, he's not pulling a just an Allgaier ass whooping yet, but he's on his way there across the cup
Yeah.
field in a similar fashion.
Yeah,
Because if it wasn't for Reddick's 5 wins, he'd be doing the same thing.
oh, I was gonna say, yeah, I think he is doing the same thing Allgaier is. He just got a little later start.
Yep.
His
So,
his just didn't show up the way Allgaier's did, but
but all right, bud. Till next week. Talk with you
yeah,
later.
I hope everyone enjoys this, man.
Yep.
This was fun.
Yep. Thanks for sticking with us if you did, and we appreciate you listening as always.
Thank
Have a
you
good one.
guys.